So first of all, thank you for joining us today and seeing what we have to say about Toon Animation and some of their software platforms. My name is Mark Phillip, and I'm an application engineer at Studica Incorporated. A little bit of background about Studica: we're a reseller of hardware and software products, and we primarily deal with education. So most of our customers are schools, faculty, students, pretty much anybody in the educational world. So we've been doing this for a little over 30 years, and today we'll be looking at Toon Storyboard Pro and Toon Harmony and kind of the big picture about what these programs are, why we think they're important, as well as some of the learning resources associated with these programs to kind of help you get started if you're new to the program. Our website is studica.com, www.studica.com, so you can always go there and check out what we have to offer. So if you need to contact me for any reason, my email address is markp@studica.com. So first of all, some people may not know who Toon is. Basically, they're a software developer, and they primarily deal in software that's widely used in the entertainment industry. So animation software, storyboarding software, those are kind of the two that we're going to be looking at today. Their programs are industry standard, so a number of studios all around the world use these programs, and a number of higher education institutions also use these programs, and it's starting to also come into the high school realm more too for animation programs. So their software is pretty widespread, and people who know how to use it are likely going to find places that need that skill set. So when we talk about animation programs in school, we like to look at these kind of 4 relevant skills, which are critical thinking, communication, collaboration, creativity. We think that a solid animation program can really reinforce these 4 skills. Some of them may be more soft than hard skills, but at the end of the day, these are all things that people need to know when they go to work, in their post-education life, or even if they're still working in academia, doing research and things like that. These are all valid skills to have, and animation programs really help reinforce these 4 skills. And the big thing with Toon is we're wanting to kind of emphasize how the program sort of reinforces these and how it caters to this specific skill set, and making that process of developing these skills for your students a little bit easier. Now, before I kind of jump into the programs themselves, I want to give some context about the demand for this sort of skill set in the world of animation. We're actually seeing a big expansion right now in the animation market. Specifically, we see that job growth is actually booming pretty rapidly, and it's outpacing the average job growth, at least in the United States. And this is largely driven by content streaming platforms such as Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, Stars, any of those streaming platforms where original content's being developed. These companies are making billions of dollars from consumers, and they're reinvesting a lot of that into original content. But we're also seeing this expansion being driven by diverse industries. We're no longer in this world where animation is mostly used for like entertainment. We're actually seeing a lot more animation coming up in like research, like medical research, engineering. We're seeing it in marketing, immersive media, web content especially. Imagine any time you go on social media, you probably see people sharing videos all the time of like 5-minute long animations. People have to develop those animations, and they're all, a lot of the time they're using tools like Harmony to make those animations happen. And in the realm of like research, for medical research, for instance, as more and more data is becoming digitized and being done through computation, we need a way to model that data. And a good way to model that is through animating it, right? So you get these data sets, you create graphs, and you create nice looking animations so that you can deliver that to people to help convey ideas in research and help potentially secure more funding by wrapping your research in an easy to digest format. So essentially, technological innovation is really creating a lot of new employment opportunities for people with this skill set. So some of the related industries, there's the obvious ones like gaming, for instance. Video games is a pretty big one for animation, and then you have motion picture and movies and television, video entertainment in general through things like YouTube, for instance. But now we have stuff like, nowadays we have e-learning, instructional technology, PR and marketing, digital consulting, a lot of different industries where people are now using this skill set. So onto what Toon Boom is, or what they have specifically for education. They do have education-specific software licenses. They offer student certification. They also offer professional development to help get people up to speed with the software. So between at least what we have at Studica is we offer Harmony and Storyboard Pro. Both these programs kind of fill two different niches, I should say. One is for animation, the other is for storyboarding. So we're going to first look at what Toon Boom Harmony is, and basically it's a 2D animation program, and it comes in 3 different versions. There's Essentials, Advanced, and Premium. And we'll take a look at what all these versions have in common, and then what each version kind of has that's unique from the others. So between all 3 versions of Harmony, you're going to get these features. You're going to be able to do inking, painting, rigging, and animating. Those are your big 4. Without those, you wouldn't really have an animation program. So even if you get the lowest end version of Harmony, you're still going to have these capabilities. Additionally, you'll be able to do compositing and special effects. You can utilize bitmap and vector tools. Vector is increasingly popular nowadays, so that's an important thing to have in a modern animation program. And then exports directly to game engines. So if you are doing any sort of game development, or you have people who are interested in pursuing game development, you can actually create sprites and basically export those sprites right into engines like Unity or Unreal Engine, for instance. Those are both industry standard engines, and bring your animations straight into them and have them working via some kind of middleware that has been developed for those engines. And then lastly, you can export to pretty much all your common file formats for both still images and video. So because of this, you can basically incorporate Harmony into an existing pipeline so that you can work with other programs as well if you need to. So Toon Boom Essentials, or Harmony Essentials I should say, is kind of like the entry-level version of the software. It has all those things we just talked about, but that's pretty much all it has. So you can still do animations and make movies and everything as you want. You just don't get access to some of the more advanced features. So this is a good program for people who are maybe new to animation, maybe haven't used programs like this before, or maybe all you're doing is very simple animations. Then you don't really need the higher end features. Now for Harmony Advanced, you take everything that Essentials has and we add some morphing, onion skinning, and some extra timeline functionality. So in the screenshot here, I took some screenshots of the same menus I had here on the Essentials, and you can kind of see that there's quite a bit more material now between the drawing and animation menus, which are the menus where most of your features are held in Harmony. So we get like creating color art from line art, generating automats, doing linear motion, no Z dragging, lip syncing, morphing. You just get some more features here to fine tune your animation. And then onion skinning is here on the left. This is an example of onion skinning, I should say. With onion skinning, you can basically say that I want to see so many frames before my current frame and so many frames after my current frame. So the green ballerina here are the frames that come after the ballerina frame in the middle, and the ones on the left in the red are the ones that came before. So it's basically just a contextual way to kind of animate instead of swapping keyframes over and over to make sure your animation looks right. Now, Harmony Premium is the highest level of the program. This is basically your professional level of the software. This is likely what people are using in the industry. It includes everything that both Advanced and Essentials has, and then it adds some sophisticated rigging features and then curve and envelope deformers. You also incorporate the ability to bring 3D models into the software. So if you use 3ds Max, Blender, Maya, whatever program you like to use for 3D modeling, you can bring your FBX file into Harmony and incorporate it with your 2D animation. So you can get this kind of interesting hybrid workflow going for a very specific style. And additionally, what I took a screenshot of here is the node-based compositing window. You only get the node-based compositing tree, I mean not window, you only get the node-based compositing tree in the premium version of the software. And this is something that's increasingly common in a lot of media programs nowadays. And it's definitely something that you'd likely want to get used to if you're going to be going into the industry. It's a very powerful feature that is only included in the premium version, but it gives you a lot of control over your layers, your compositing, your rigging, and it visualizes everything really easily for you. So, but you can see it looks pretty complicated. So there's a reason it's not in the essentials version. People who are new to this sort of thing would probably roll their eyes seeing something like this. So at the premium level, though, you get access to the node-based tree. So that's kind of the big picture look at Harmony, and now we'll move on to Storyboard. And like it sounds, Storyboard Pro is a storyboarding software, so it kind of helps you with pre-production, helps you get your idea out there, so that your actual production process can go more smoothly. Now, this GIF that we see here is just giving you an idea of what the user interface looks like and kind of how the general, not necessarily workflow, but just how everything fits together in Storyboard. You have like your tools across the left here. You have some of your utility items here at the top. You have your different shots here, which are essentially like layers in Storyboard, and then you have your timeline that you can play through at however many FPS you want, and then manipulate transitions and things like that. So it should look somewhat familiar if you've ever used really any other like animating program or a program where you can do keyframe animation. This is also a lot of how, this is pretty much what Harmony looks like as well. It's just Harmony has a lot more extra tools because there's more stuff you can do in Harmony versus Storyboard Pro. So the main features with Storyboard Pro are that you can actually bring your script into the software so that you don't have to utilize some external program to swap back and forth reading your script and then going back to your Storyboard Pro program. So if you use Final Draft, for instance, Final Draft has very good interfacing, I should say, with Storyboard. So you can actually bring your Final Draft script right into Storyboard, and all of your narrative, your general, your scene transitions, your dialogue, all that stuff gets thrown into your project so that you can see it. You can also actually set up new projects in Storyboard based on a Final Draft script, which will automatically format your scenes, your shots, your dialogue, and your transitions. It will actually build all these things and basically create that template based on your screenplay within Storyboard Pro, so you don't have to wrangle with creating new shots and new scenes and transitions. It will all just go in there. Additionally, you can do real-time playback. So like we saw in the GIF, you can basically go and play through your video or play through your storyboard and see it work in real time. You can also export your video out to industry standard file formats like H.264 for HD video. You can also export straight to Harmony. So if you wanted to do something more, I don't know, maybe you want to throw in some really specific animation into Storyboard Pro, you could bring your file into Harmony and work with it. Additionally, you can create camera blocking or camera movement, so you can actually animate like pans and tilts and things like that to get your camera movement looking proper in pre-production so that you can save some time during production. You also get collaboration tools that are built into the software, and I always like to talk about this feature because it kind of comes back to those skills we were talking about earlier with communication, collaboration. The collaboration tool in Storyboard basically allows you to take your project, split it up into chunks, hand each chunk off to a team member, and they work on that chunk in isolation of the rest of the project, or rather not in isolation, but in a way that's not affecting everybody else's work. And then once you have your changes, you bring them all back together into a single timeline and everybody's changes are incorporated. What's nice with the collaboration tool is it kind of helps reinforce the communication collaboration aspect, because a lot of times in school, you're going to have students working together on projects for things like animation, where they might have to be communicating, collaborating with their teammates, and having tools that help you perform those duties helps take some of that stress away from figuring out the logistics of how you're going to actually collaborate on this project, because you already have a system in place to help you do that. So that's a nice feature to have. And then we also have pipeline integration with Final Cut Pro, Adobe Premiere, and Avid. These are common video editors, or video editing software, I should say. So if you wanted to take your storyboard and maybe experiment with some higher end transitions, or maybe you want to test a color grade, you can go ahead and try, do that. You can take your storyboard file, bring it into any of these editors, and start manipulating it. So that's the big picture look at Storyboard Pro and Harmony. And now we're going to take a look at the Toon Boom certification. So the good news is there is certification for for Toon Boom. That's usually something that teachers like to see because it gives them a clear goal that they can kind of nudge their students towards throughout a semester or a school year, and hopefully try and get some of their students to be certified so that they have something that they can put on their resume and hopefully, find some work or have something that just sets them apart from the crowd essentially on their resume. Now the certification was recently updated and revised by Toon Boom. It got like a complete overhaul, and they've put it out again recently and are offering it again. And it's appropriate for high school students, and it aligns with high school curriculum. It's only currently available for Harmony Premium and Storyboard Pro. And then it's also delivered by Summit Global Testing. They're a third-party company, and they do the test through a browser-based system. So the certification is developed by Toon Boom, but then it's basically delivered by this company. So for the certification exams, there's quite a bit of support for it in the sense that there's a lot of learning resources available to try and help you prepare for that exam. So I'm not going to go through all of these, but we'll take a brief look at some of them in a moment here. And then there's also a lot of support for just learning the software. So one of the big things that kind of hangs people up on getting new programs is that you're so used to using what you currently have that you don't necessarily want to take that time to figure out how to use this new thing, because that's time spent where you could be more productive with this other program you've been using. But, Toon Boom knows that. And so a big part of what they like to do is they like to offer a lot of learning resources to help people get up to speed as fast as they can. So there are paid options and there's free options. So one of the paid options is that you can do paid professional development. This is a half day long or a full day or 1 week worth of training. And this is where you would actually work with somebody from Toon Boom, people who know the software inside and out, and they just work with you to get you up to speed with the features of the software. There's also the Toon Boom Learn Portal, which I will take a look at right now. If I can navigate all my tabs, there we go. So the Toon Boom Learn Portal is a free resource. It's on their website, learn.toonboom.com. You can go to this site whenever you want and take a look at it. It doesn't cost you anything. I don't even think you need an account to visit it. So learn.toonboom.com, and then if you click Journeys at the top, you'll see basically a whole bunch of options on here. And Journeys are kind of like textbooks where they cover some topic in detail, and within that topic there's like courses, and within each course there's modules. So if you're trying to figure out how to do something, a good approach is to generally come here and search for that thing you're trying to do, or just take a look at what they have on offering here. So for instance, there's like compositing artists, for instance. If I open this, we have a number of courses in here which talk about doing compositing with Harmony Premium, or the compositing 2 section, doing hand-drawn effects and things like that. If I look I can also sort by like beginner level, right? So let's take a look at Harmony Kickstart. So this is like the entry level. If you're new to Harmony, you kind of probably want to start here because it will go over things like user interface, what do your tools do, how do you make a drawing. So there's Essentials, there's Advanced, and there's Premium. You also notice it keeps track of my progress. So I'm actually signed into my account right now. And if you make an account, you can also keep track of your own progress. But if I click Harmony Essentials Kickstart, we'll see that we have 3 modules in here that total about 2 hours and 42 minutes of content. And then there's the entry level, how to create and set up your project, very basic, tells me it's about 17 minutes long. go look at how to draw and animate with Harmony Essentials. And then in here I have a number of actual lessons. And so I can also download the course material that's used in this course by the tutorial person, the teacher, I should say. They use a specific project, and so if you want to follow along, you can actually download that project and open it in Harmony and follow along. So if I click like using the drawing tools, I get this page that has an embedded YouTube video. I'm going to go ahead and play this real quick and sort of skip around here so you can get an idea. But we see that this is somebody who is presenting the content to us. They're showing us how to use our drawing tools and what the different tools do. They're also narrating this the whole time. I just have my volume turned down. And the people who generally deliver this content are either people from Toon Boom who know the software really well, or they're actual like artists who work in the industry who use this software on a professional basis. For instance, this person who made this video, Jesse J. Jones, you can actually see who the authors are, is a 2D animator, artist, and tutor who has their own like studio. So this is somebody who actually uses this in a professional capacity, talking about how you use the features of Toon Boom. Now, not every lesson has a YouTube video, but generally, if they don't, then they're usually some written topic, and they usually have a transcript of how to do these things. This particular video doesn't, but I know a lot of schools have YouTube blocked, so if you still want to get this content, usually there's step-by-step written detail as well about how to do these certain things. You'll also notice if you're logged into an account at the bottom, you get this quiz that asks you questions about basically what you just watched. This is kind of a fun thing, I think, for teachers and students, because with students you can kind of test your knowledge, and for teachers this might give you some ideas for like midterm or test quiz questions and things like that. And these are also questions that might show up on the exam, the actual certification exam. I don't know for sure about that, but it does, it still helps to make sure you test your knowledge on these questions and make sure you can answer them properly. Additionally, on the topic of certification, the Learn portal does have certification details about like format and criteria. There's also exam preparation lessons. So, for instance, the professional certification exam preparation for Harmony Premium actually has a whole bunch of stuff in here that you can go through and basically prepare yourself for the exam. And so this is a great resource if you're aiming to actually take that certification exam and pass it. This is a great place to start and really just go through all of these lessons and make sure you know the material. Additionally, there's curriculum. So let me search for curriculum. We'll just look at like Harmony Premium Educational Curriculum. And basically this kind of serves as a guideline for you as an instructor to potentially use this material to try and craft your class around it. So a lot of resources here. Again, this is a free site, learn.toonboom.com. Definitely recommend taking a look at that. And this is just a great way to get yourself up to speed with the software. So some of the notable higher education institutions that are using this software are right here. This is not all of the education institutions that are using it. This is just a handful of the big ones. A lot of these are art schools, but we do have a couple state schools like New Mexico State, and there's a lot more schools than this that are using it. I believe they have a comprehensive list on their website, Toon Boom's website, that has a list of the schools that use Toon Boom in some capacity. And then additionally, here's some of the big studios that are using Toon Boom software in their production pipeline. And these are just some of the big ones. Again, this is not a comprehensive list. There's way more companies, way more studios that are using it than this, but these are just some of the really big names. So with that being said, I'm going to open it up for questions. If you do have any questions, please use the chat feature to let us know, and I'll do my best to answer those. And while I wait for those questions, I'll just wrap up this slide here. If you want to see what Studica has to offer for schools as far as Toon Boom pricing and things like that, you can go to our site, studica.com, and I just recommend doing a search on our search bar for Toon Boom and taking a look at what we have. You can also call us directly at 888-561-7521 Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you want to talk to somebody directly, if you want to talk to a sales rep, generally our sales reps are very knowledgeable about like things like, you know, funding for schools and working with you and trying to figure out what your budget is and all these things. They're a great resource, and they often know a lot of content or a lot about the actual software as well, and what it can do for you. You can reach them at sales@studica.com. So and again, my email address is markp@studica.com. And last thing is that we will be sending out a follow-up email that has some extra information as well as a recording of this webinar. So if you want to share this recording for any reason, feel free to do so. But I'm not getting any questions, so I think I'll probably just close it up, wait another 10-15 seconds here, see if anybody has any questions. All right, well, I'll go ahead and close it. So thank you for coming, and I hope you have a good day and a good rest of the week. Take it easy.